co-host of MLB Central, weekdays at 10 a.m., fellow Sports Emmy nominee from this past year, Matt Vasgersian, back on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Matt?
Rich, doing great, and curious as to the keys for the early season success of the Ed Whitsons. Who's been winning for you? Who's doing it?
My fantasy team, Matt.
Yes.
Giancarlo Stanton, Bryce Harper. Oh, yeah, that two alone will just be enough. That's good eats.
Yeah.
Jock Peterson, you're a front runner for NL Rookie of the Year.
You are stacked,
I
my
am.
friend.
Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray, who's the front runner for American League Cy Young, as far as I'm concerned. Right?
Among them, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Right. Matt Harvey hasn't won much lately, but Andrew Miller and Drew Storen are in my pen. I'm crushing it. I am crushing
Congratulations to that. I mean, look, that's anybody could have stumbled into Giancarlo Stanton, Harper, but, you know, you've got some intuitively strong picks there. Jock Peterson, I was not sold on him after the 20-ish game sample we saw last September. Looked like he was overmatched, and you're thinking, boy, maybe they should have released him in part of the rumored trade compensation package for Cole Hamels. But, man, he's a stud, and they knew what they were hanging on to there.
He is, and I just made a trade because I picked up Sean Tollison after Naftali Feliz lost the closer's gig in Texas. And because I'm far enough ahead in saves, I packaged him and Ian Kinsler for Jose Altuve because I need steals.
Okay, like it.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, Altuve's good for 2 hits a night, so it would seem, and he will run. Kinsler's having a down year. For some reason, he has been what's plaguing him. I'm not sure if it's the same thing happening with the rest of that lineup, but maybe it's because without Victor Martinez, without Alex Avila, they're really left-handed, really vulnerable to good right-handed pitching, and that's what was among the problems during their recently completed 8-game losing streak. But the Tigers have been kind of weird to try to get a pulse on this year. I still think that division comes back to them at some point. And no disrespect to the Twins. They're in first place. They've had a great start to the season. 162 games is a lot different than having a division lead after 49 or 50.
Right. Well, I have Justin Verlander on the disabled list, and he's coming off this week, correct? Everyone's expecting him to return to the Tigers' rotation this week. I'm not just asking that because he's a fantasy player. That's a pretty big story, certainly for the Tigers, as you point out. They have fallen on hard times of late. He's a figurative shot in the arm from a man who literally got one a couple of months ago. What do you think of Verlander's return here, Matt?
Yeah, it's needed. Because right now it's been David Price and a merry band of renown in Detroit. I mean, they need that other big horse. Their staff numbers are down across the board, and certainly when you lose Scherzer to free agency and then Verlander's been unable to pitch all year, that's going to reflect that. But, you know, the Tigers usually, and Dave Nabrowski is among not only the shrewdest general managers, but the most stealth. He's got a move in him around the deadline every year that people don't see coming. And last year it was Price. If they lose Price to free agency, and I'm sure that's something that they're preparing for, there has to be something else there. And, you know, Cole Hamels is going to be the big prize come trade deadline time. He'd be great in Detroit. He'd be great everywhere. The problem is he has a no-trade clause which lists 20 teams that he would have to waive that language in order to join via trade, and I believe the Tigers to be one of them. So they need Verlander back in the worst way. They miss that power right-hander. And I still think, again, I think the division will come back to them and that they'll be fine.
Matt Vasgersian, a co-host of MLB Central weekdays at 10 a.m. on MLB Network, which again broadcasts the first 75 picks of the draft starting tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Joining me back again here on the Rich Eisen Show. Altuve sitting there in Houston, and everybody's hoping that the double play combination for years to come is Altuve and the young man that we're going to see tonight in Carlos Correa. Tell me, how good is this 20-year-old stud?
Well, I mean, this guy's hit at every level of the minor leagues. You know, there's no such thing as a can't miss, Rich, in sports and in baseball, but he's as close to that as there can be. He not only hits, he runs, he defends. plus defender. We always look for comps in baseball as they do everywhere, but the comp on him in terms of skill set and body type is Alex Rodriguez.
Huh.
Those are huge shoes to fill because when Alex came up as a young Mariner, he was the all-world, all-guy before the stink of PEDs. He's really good, this kid Carlos Correa, and the Astros, I think, are bringing him up at the right time. It not only kind of makes all things symmetrical for him, celebrating the anniversary of his being number one overall, but they fell on a really tough weekend in Toronto that kind of exposed some problems there. The Astros would be a lot of fun to watch in the postseason because, well documented, they are feast or famine and could be the first team ever to lead the league in strikeouts and home runs in the same season. It hasn't been done since '08. And we'll see if that happens again. 1908, that is.
Yeah, I love that, by the way. I mean, you take a look at the standings, they're only one of two teams currently double digits above 500. The other one is St. Louis, which is almost 20 games above 500. The Cardinals just beat the Dodgers in a series again. They took 3 of 4 in Chavez Ravine. How are they so good, Matt?
I think they go about replenishing themselves internally. And you don't ever hear about the Cardinals' fortunes being won or lost by one free agent signee or miss. They develop their own, and it's what every team tries to do in baseball now. Every team tries to become a little bit more sane financially, draft and develop. It's harder than it appears. And how, I'm not sure. But teams like the Rays and the Cardinals in particular have just been a little smarter than everybody else. It wasn't easy for them to let Albert Pujols walk when he did, but you could probably say that was maybe one of the best things to happen to the Cardinals of recent vintage was the decision not to go upwards of $200+ million to keep Albert around there because they were able to get a little more financial flexibility, and they've been just as good, just as competitive with the current cast. Not to mention, I'm a big fan of Mike Matheny. I think he defines that leader of men that you're looking for as a person and as a baseball mind. They're fun to watch. Without Adam Wainwright, who'd have thought that they'd be as competitive as they are, and they are everybody's favorites in that division for sure.
Do you have a Mike Mayock for the draft coverage tonight? Is there an MLB Network Mike Mayock that knows everything about everything?
Wow, that's an impossible role to cast. A guy who just lives and geeks out on baseball jargon the way your colleague does for football. We don't have that guy, Rich. We just don't. We got Harold Reynolds, who's kind of the man for all seasons.
Sure.
And the problem we have with baseball and its draft is that most of us have never heard of these guys, and you won't hear from them again for a couple of years.
That's right.
Completely unlike the NFL.
Hey, Matt, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Look forward to the next. That's I know. I need it. I need that little breath of fresh air a little bit. I'm sort of like that. I'm falling a little bit on hard times lately, but I appreciate it, Matt. Thanks.
All right, Rich. Good talking to you.
We'll chat again soon. That's Matt Vasgersian.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.